Welcome in, guys. Max Crosby gets shut down, NFL playoff implications, and the latest on the Lakers not looking like contenders that, many of us thought they were. So let's get into it. So we got today Max Crosby. It comes out the Raiders are going to shut him down like he had no other choice. We heard from him earlier in the week about the draft, about what he thinks from the last 2 weeks of the season. And, he has said, he don't give a bleep about what draft position or where anything else stands with the Raiders going into these last 2 games. His job is to be the best defensive end he could be, and he has been for a long time, and including showing it this year. I believe it's 7 games this year where he has played 100% of the snaps, and only he does that. He wants to be the best. He wants to be out there on every play, and I don't blame him. His job is to go out there and be the best, and the Raiders are not going to give him that opportunity. But the Raiders shut him down for good reasons, I believe. First, it's that knee injury. He has been dealing with the knee, and because, they don't want to talk about it, but we want that number 1 pick. And shutting down your best player will give you a better chance. It's the tank bowl, man. After all these moves we've seen the Giants and Raiders make this week, and they're tanking. They're both tanking, and we just hope the NFL doesn't come for us, takes away whatever pick we get. But Max Crosby, man, to have this guy mad 2 weeks before the year ends, after all the talks have been going on about him in possible trade scenarios for the last few years, this is just gonna intensify that. And where there's smoke, there is fire, and probably in Crosby's eyes even more now because he left the building mad. It was reported that after Pete Carroll sat down with them, he's like, "Can I get out of here?" And Pete Carroll's like, "Yeah, go ahead." In his press conference today, Pete Carroll shaked it off like it was, no big deal, no nothing, and, making it seem like he's going to come back. And who knows, maybe he does come back, but it's not going to be this year for Crosby. The way it's going, it's sounding like Carroll's in on this. Will he be back next year? I don't think he should be back, but who knows? We're going to have to see how this plays out. And if they get that number 1 pick, it's going to be better for this team moving forward if they search for that new head coach, if Crosby wants to remain a Raider, and if they potentially win either of these 2 games, a trade for Crosby brings back for them. Max Crosby, he's been the leader of this team, the face of this franchise for a long, long time now. And to send him off like that, man, it's just a bad luck. But for the Raiders, there's always something going on, and we can never go out without being in the headlines and having these types of situations happen. But yeah, Las Vegas made this decision right here to keep Crosby's best interest in mind. That's what was reported. And the Pro Bowler has been fighting, and he wants to play, but Pete Carroll made it clear that this week and next week they're going to shut him down. They haven't officially put him on IR or anything like they did to Bowers earlier this week, what they did to our safety earlier this week. And now we have the starting defensive end, the face of the franchise, getting shut down. And we're going to see what this has stored for Crosby in the future, because his contract is team friendly. His contract will make any team want to trade for him. And what it's going to take, it's going to at least take, let's be realistic, 2 first-round picks. Me personally, I wouldn't pick up the phone into they're offering 3 picks for Crosby. That's how big time this player is. That's how much value he brings to any team. And that 3rd pick is because that contract is very, very team friendly. This guy only making 35, I think 35 and a half, compared to, what Parsons got, what Gary got, and now Anderson's going to get, and he's the best of the best. This contract also, if they traded away the Raiders on the Raiders side, they save some money on the back end of it. I think it's only $5 million that they lose out of. I think if they potentially trade him this offseason. A lot going on here in Vegas these last 2 weeks, but it's going to start this Sunday when they have the tank bowl between the Raiders and the Giants, and that will likely be the game that decides the number 1 overall pick for the 2026 NFL draft. And we're just going to have to see, because also in week 17, the Raiders could win that one against the Chiefs. They showed some fight against the Broncos yesterday, but coming into week 18, they're not going to want the Raiders to get that higher draft pick. They're going to want them to win and then, still be in trouble for that, finding that quarterback. But awful news coming out of Vegas. Crosby is mad that they shut him down. He walked out. He didn't agree with them. And we're just going to have to see. We're going to have to wait and see if Crosby even shows up for the game on Sunday. But, the Raiders do what the Raiders think is best for them and for Crosby, which it makes a lot of sense. But I just think it's the way they handle certain situations, and this is just the latest one of them because he could have been shut down last week, even before that when the Raiders haven't been in contention for over 2 months. Just shut him down. Don't let it get to this point. But earlier this week he said, his job is to go out there and be the best, and the Raiders didn't want to see that because they're obviously tanking. But we're going to see more of this, how it plays out the next 2 weeks, and the Raiders could be making moves early, just after the season ends in Allegiant Stadium after that Chiefs game. So it's going to be interesting couple weeks for these Las Vegas Raiders. Now the shift to the NFL slate, where we have a few games coming up tomorrow and Sunday that have major playoff implications in them. Some teams have already clinched. I mean, many teams have it clinched, but a lot of divisions have not been clinched. But on the AFC side, tomorrow we got the Houston Texans taking on the Los Angeles Chargers, and we know we're going to root for the Texans in this one. The Chargers, 5th seed right now, and right now they're on pace to play the Steelers. They still have a chance to get the division, surprisingly, but they're going to have to, win this one and potentially beat the Broncos in Week 18. But I think Houston's going to come after them. They're going to have way better showing what they did last week against the Raiders. They're going to come out firing, and that defense is going to get after Justin Herbert and make it hurt a lot. And Herbert in the big stage, this is one of them. It's not the playoff, but it's one of the big stages. We're going to see how he does. Then in the night game, we officially found out today that Packers quarterback, Jordan Love, will not be playing in this one. That's advantage Ravens. If Lamar Jackson ends up playing, we still haven't had full word. And the last thing I heard about, he's doubtful, so it might be Malik Willis and Huntley going at it, the two good backups. I'm going to see, because if Baltimore loses this one, they're done. They don't even have a chance on Sunday to see what happens to keep the playoff hopes alive. They lose this one, they're out. Green Bay, on the other hand, they're trying to elevate, potentially make it interesting to move up in the wild card because the North was clinched already. And we're going to see how this plays out. Baltimore, see how much fight they have. Green Bay, we're going to see that backup quarterback. It's going to be interesting, even if Josh Jacobs doesn't play. The running backs are good enough to win this game, and I have the Packers winning this one just because it's Lambeau Field. Crowds can be rocking, and then we're going to see how this all affects Sunday, because Sunday there's plenty more matchups, playoff implications. We're going to start with the Steelers and the Browns, divisional rivals. Anything can happen in this one. Of course, if Baltimore's still in it, they're going to root for Cleveland to keep their hopes alive. But I believe Steelers come out, boom, tight game, 17-13 Steelers end up winning just because that defense can keep them in the game. We're going to see how Shedeur Sanders bounces back too after last week's performance. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to be locked in and ready to roll, even though if they already clinch, you can't get the sit him here, sit him there, because then it's just cold turkey going into the playoffs. What you can do in Week 18, if you're going to sit him, wait till next week or play him, a half or something. Don't just let him sit the whole game and mess up the chemistry because they've been on a roll. Then we have the Indianapolis Colts. They're hosting the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jaguars coming off that big win last week against the Broncos, and they still got a shot. They got a shot for that 1 seed, but first of all, they're going to want to take care of the AFC South. And when they have the Texans winning on Saturday, that means the Jaguars have to win on Sunday, because, it's going to be neck and neck if they don't get that win against Indianapolis. We're going to see, once again, ageless wonder of the world right now, Philip Rivers. See how he carves up that defense. And I think it's going to be back and forth, He's going to get the ball out quick. And we seen what he did Monday night to that 49ers defense for a little bit. But I still have Jacksonville coming out on top of this one. It's just too much for the Colts right now with everything that's going on. But he's on the heater. Trevor Lawrence is on the heater. Liam Cohen doing a good job. And they're going to move up. And they still got potential to be that number 1 seed. So we're going to see how that plays out. Then we have Miami and the Buccaneers. Buccaneers must win game to keep on pace in that Week 18 matchup to make it interesting. But I have Tampa Bay in this one just because I think they're just going to play better, man. They're getting their guys back, but they're going to mesh the last 2 games, and I see them winning this one. Then New York and the Patriots. Patriots division rival. I don't think it's going to be close. I think the Patriots are going to run away with this one. We don't even know who the starting quarterback for the Jets is going to be. It's not going to be Fields, though. But the Patriots, great comeback win last week. And we're going to see this one. They have to take care of business early and don't let the Jets hang around for any reason. Get out of there. Get out of New York with a W. Then we got a big one in Carolina. The Seattle Seahawks against the Carolina Panthers. Both teams are writing something for this game because on one end, you have the Seahawks who have that 1 seed. But with the loss, they're going to drop and let it all come down to week 18, which it will still come down to week 18, no matter what. But they'll just have that step up with the confidence, the daggers, and, all the momentum going into that final week against the 49ers. But they have to handle business here first, which I think they won't. I think the Panthers are going to I won't call it upset, but they're going to pull one right here in Carolina. Bryce Young is going to do good against that defense. And Seattle, Darnold's going to struggle. You got that 10 a.m. start. He's going to struggle. And I think the Seahawks just lose one right here, a big one, and it's going to hurt them at the end. Then we got the Tank Bowl. The Raiders, my Raiders against the Giants. I don't know. Flip a coin. Pick someone. Who knows who's going to win this game, And if you haven't got out there to Allegiant Stadium, do this week. Tickets are probably going to be the cheapest they've been since the stadium opened up. So do that. Flip a coin. See who's going to win and do that. And then we got a nationally televised game of the week probably. Buffalo hosting the defending champs Eagles. The Eagles already locked up that division, but they don't want to, they still have a chance to move up a seed. So, maybe they come out, get that 2-3 seed. Right now they're borderline, but they move up and they could get that 2 seed. I think they're going to run all over these Buffalo Bills. The defense hasn't been stopping anybody on the Bills side, and the Eagles are going to get Lane Johnson back, and you know what they do when they have Lane Johnson back. They run that rock, they protect, and most importantly, they win. Shannon's going to have to be special in this game to keep it tight and for the Bills to have a chance to come out and potentially win this thing, but I got the Eagles in this one. Then Sunday night, big time game. Got the San Francisco 49ers hosting Chicago Bears, 2 of the best teams in the NFC, and 2 of the best teams that are going to be contenders for the Super Bowl this year, I believe. But, something's going to have to give, and I think it's going to be the Niners defense. The Bears going to rush the ball like no tomorrow. They're going to see if the San Francisco 49ers can stop it, and that's going to set up the bootleg, naked leg, left to the right for Caleb Williams, going to spread that defense apart. And it might be a shootout, but at the end, I got the Bears taking this one. And Monday Night Football, LA against the Falcons. In an interesting matchup here because if you guys don't remember, the Rams actually own the Falcons pick in next year's draft. The Falcons ain't going to want to lose. They're going to want to put the Rams, back in that 20 or 15 to 20 range for the pick next year that they got because they traded with the Falcons in 2025. But I got the Rams this one. They're going to come back after that brutal loss in Week 16. McVay and the coaching staff do a very good job of setting the tone after the loss. They're going to, depending how Sunday slate goes, a Monday night game is very, very important for the Rams because they went from 1-6, and if some results go their favor, they could potentially bounce back all the way, move up one spot, or, even the first seed if it goes the way it should, or that 2 seed. But most importantly, they're going to focus on there. They're still a top contender. They're still my pick to win it all, just like in the beginning of the year. And I got them coming out in this one. So it's going to be a good slate of games on Sunday. Don't forget tomorrow and Monday night because we got big time matchups. And we're going to shift gears here and go to the association with my Lakers. And what they showed on Christmas Day was awful. Awful. This is only my second game I watched this year. It's just something with the NBA. It's not interesting, or it doesn't catch my eye like before. I don't know. Maybe it's the marketing. Maybe it's the fact that there's too much marketing, too much commercials, not enough playtime, no defense being played, which my Lakers don't. And it's just all over the place. Even the stars, man, it's just different type of fight. But since it was Christmas Day, that's the tradition. You watch NBA. And last night it was awful, man. I even changed it to watch the Broncos against the Chiefs because this LA team was awful on both sides of the end. And this is not a championship team. I did not see them as a championship team as many did before the season started. You can't have Luka and Reeves on the defensive side in the playoffs. They're going to pick at them every time. And then to add to the top of that, LeBron's not even giving you LeBron stats or, LeBron type of games. Maybe he's saving it. Who knows? Maybe he's coming back from the injury, or maybe Father Time just caught up to him. He is 41 years old, and, maybe it's just that time. But right now he's playing like he's 41 years old, not having a presence out there. And then JJ Redick, too, coming out and putting on Team on Blast, which is true, Sometimes a coach, you have to do that, but how much falls back on him? And he could be on his way out if these Lakers go on a downfall hill from this point to the end of the year, But we're going to see how this happens. Who knows how many more games I'm going to watch. I'll probably watch on MLK Day for sure if the Lakers play on that day. And then when they make the playoffs, because I think they're still going to make the playoffs, but I don't see them as a top 4 team in either, probably in the West, but either conference, I don't see them as a top team that could potentially reach the finals. I just don't. There's too much good teams out here. They're not going to beat the Thunder. Probably the Rockets going to be better by then. And then you have the Nuggets that are surging right now. And, but they're going to get in, but I don't think they're going to make any noise unless they make a trade to bring in, defensive guys on that end. But I just don't see it. But who knows? Maybe they turn it around, second half surge. And we're going to see what these Lakers got. But that's all I got for you guys. Hope you guys have amazing rest of your time with your family and enjoy your holidays. And God bless until next time.